So you are interested in buying or building an AR-15 pistol. There are some good reasons to do this, and there's also some not so good reasons to buy or build an AR-15 pistol. So today I'm going to walk through a couple of these different reasons with you and help you decide whether it's a good idea for you. So first off, let's start off by talking about home defense. If you are buying an AR-15 pistol for home defense, I think it's a pretty good, reasonable thing to do that as compared to some other options. So if you're going to here, give me a second while I grab my other rifle here. In comes my 18-inch SPR build rifle. Let me make sure that's in frame. Good enough. You can kind of see it. Anyway, so basically your biggest competition for a home defense rifle is going to be a full-size AR-15 or something else. I'm just going to be comparing it to a full-size AR-15 right now. You get some distinct advantages over a full-length AR-15. One is size. That's probably the biggest one here because for stash, home, self-defense, that's going to be the only factor that matters. Weight doesn't matter because you're not carrying it around. Size is the only thing that matters right now. And then also something that comes into fruition or comes into play is going to be velocity and ballistics, because obviously that's what's going to be having an effect on target. So basically what it comes down to, bottom line, home defense, is the size conservation on an AR-15 pistol worth the diminished ballistics you get from a shorter barrel? I would say definitely in this case. I am not a super expert on ballistics, but if you're going to be inside of a house shooting maybe 20 yards maximum inside of your house, there's not going to be, that bullet's still going to be going super fast compared to any pistol round. So I would say home defense is an awesome reason to have an AR-15 pistol. Issue I want to bring up that applies to all uses, even besides home defense, and this applies to all AR-15 pistols, and that is caliber choice. You're either going to get 2 calibers in most AR-15 pistols, and that is going to be 300 blackout or 223 or 556. Ignore that loud car in the background. Anyway, with those 2 choices comes a different caliber bullet. Obviously 223 or 556 is going to be exactly that, 5.56 or 22 caliber, and then 300 blackout is 30 caliber. So you're getting a much bigger bullet. Now, for all these uses, if you are going to go with an AR-15 pistol, and that is a barrel that's under 16 inches, I would definitely recommend going with 300 blackout. Just because the 223-556 cartridge was designed around a 20-inch barrel. And you can definitely feel whenever you use it. This AR-15 pistol I have right now is 223-556. That something doesn't feel right when you fire it. It is over-gassed, and it is eventually going to show a lot more wear if you're firing it with 223 or 556 than if you're firing 300 blackout through it. Because 223 was designed for a 20-inch plus barrel, the gases were made to travel at a much higher, the gases travel at a much higher velocity. Also, if you're going with a shorter barrel, there's going to be a lot of unburnt powder. It's not supposed to burn up all the powder within, let's say, 10.5 inches or 12 inches or 7.5 inches. It's not supposed to burn up all that powder by the end of that barrel. So if you have an AR-15 pistol, you're going to be throwing a lot of unburnt powder out of the end of the barrel, which is why you get much bigger flashes on AR-15 pistols. If you're going to fire them out of a full-size rifle, like the one on the bottom, which is 18 inches, you're not going to get any of that unburnt powder. All that powder is going to burn up in the barrel instead of just being shot out of the end of it like on the shorter barrels. So I would definitely go with the 300 blackout if you're going to go with something that is under 16 inches. And that's just because the 300 blackout was designed over shorter barrel lengths. It's not as high pressure as the 223 cartridge is. So that's why I would go with that, as well as some other reasons, especially when it comes to home defense. I would rather, if you're having a home defense round or a home defense AR-15, which is a really good application for a AR-15 pistol, I would definitely recommend the larger caliber to have some more stopping power. It's also going to decrease the chance of, like, 223 is such a high velocity round. It's going to be going through drywall very easily. So I would recommend 30 caliber to make sure that it stops in your target and it doesn't over penetrate. Although, given if you're going to be using a supersonic um, rifle round for home defense, you're just going to over penetrate. You're not generally going to have it stop in a body. So that's something to be aware of if you're planning on using your AR-15 pistol or rifle, for that matter, for home defense. Okay, so I would definitely go with the AR-15 pistol if you're going to be doing home defense over a AR-15 rifle, hands down every single time, just because of the smaller, more concealable package. You can put it somewhere. It's also a lot easier to maneuver in a house as opposed to a full-length rifle. Okay, that's an easy one that the AR-15 pistol wins easily. Now what about hunting? This is where I'm kind of iffy. Most of the time, I would much rather have a full-length rifle for hunting, and that's just going to be because pure ballistics. You can never get around the fact, no matter what size barrel the cartridge was designed around, even if it's 300 blackout or 223, you're always going to have more velocity and better ballistics through a longer barrel to an extent. I know if you have like a 300-yard barrel, it's not going to be as good as another barrel. Anyway, crazy stuff aside, the longer barrel, the better ballistics. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get better velocity, better accuracy, that kind of stuff. So the only place I would use a AR-15 pistol for hunting would be something where if you were like maybe trying to go hog hunting and you wanted that shorter barrel length so you could add a suppressor to the end if you were trying to go like hog hunting or something where you didn't want to spook the game. Suppressor hunting in general is really nice because you don't have to wear any ear protection to save your hearing. I know a lot of people that hunt without hearing protection because they want to be able to hear the game, but then they end up destroying their ears at least a little bit whenever they end up firing around, which I want to save my ears, and I want everyone to save their ears, which is why I want the government to stop regulating suppressors like they're some sort of death machine. And it would save a lot of people's hearing. Anyway, that's another point for another day. But if you were going to be doing suppressed hunting, a shorter AR-15 pistol would be very good for that because if you add a suppressor to the end of a full-length rifle, it gets very unwieldy. So that would be one scenario where I would see it might be better for hunting. But even if I'm doing like a 300 blackout load, which I would always do, in fact, I'm actually going to be putting a 300 blackout barrel in this AR-15 pistol soon just because of that. But even with 300 blackout, I would rather have a longer barrel if I'm going hunting because it's going to be better velocity. And the 300 blackout round isn't the best chambering for hunting, just going to go out there and say that, because of the major drop-off it has at targets over 200 yards. If you're going hunting, and just quickly, if you wanted some advice for a hunting caliber for a AR-15 platform, 6.5 Grendel is a very good chambering. Ballistically, it's spectacular. However, you're going to have to get a new bolt carrier, not a carrier, a bolt face, a new barrel, and new magazines, whereas 300 blackout, you only have to get a new barrel. So that's something to consider. But even through a full-length rifle, even using 300 blackout, I would much rather have that longer barrel. Okay, so now that was the definitely good scenario for AR-15 pistols, which is home defense, and the definitely bad scenario most of the time for hunting. Now, where AR-15 pistols come into a little bit more muddied grounds is whether they are good WROL or like you know what hits the fan type rifles, where you're going to be applying them in some sort of active combat role. And that gets a lot more complicated. Basically, the big key factors right there is going to be obviously ballistics, which is a big deal. Weight is going to be a lot bigger of a deal, whether than with hunting or home defense, because home defense weight doesn't matter because you're not carrying it around, and hunting you're generally going to be moving and then sitting down somewhere. You're not going to be constantly on the move like you would be in a WRL situation or go to war rifle situation. Anyway, so weight's going to be a big factor as well. Accuracy, reliability is going to be a big factor. Um, Basically, preferably, I would be taking a AR-15 pistol, or if I had one, an SBR. Mainly just because of the weight factor and the compactness factor if I need to go indoors. It will limit my range in ballistics, but if you look at the statistics from places like Afghanistan and Iraq, the average engagement distance is going to be, if I can remember correctly, it's around 100 yards. So it's not going to be that super long sniper shot. It's going to be generally, small arms fire is going to be a lot closer. And I would rather have the shorter barrel if I'm going to be going into a building where turning corners is going to be a lot harder with a clunky rifle. And I'm also going to be not as fatigued because the gun is going to be shorter. Now, when I brought up weight, you might be wondering how much weight are you actually saving there. I'm going to tell you with my two rifles right here, my AR-15 pistol weighs 6.5 pounds. Now, and my AR-15 full-length rifle, now given this one isn't 16 inches, it's 18 inches, so it might be heavier than other carbines that are 16-inch. My SPR is 8.5 pounds. So there's some definite weight savings, and I can tell you it feels a lot lighter in my hands than my rifle, my pistol does. So that's just me personally. That's my thought process there. Especially if you're going to be going, if you need a go-to-war rifle. I think 300 Blackout would be also a very good caliber for that, especially in an AR-15 pistol. Platform for the reasons I've said before, easier suppressed, is going to be a larger round, so it's going to have more stopping power, stuff like that. Now, sorry, I'm getting off on another tangent. This has nothing to do with go to war rifle or not, but I forgot to mention why some of the pros of the 5.56 though. The 5.56 is going to have a way better long range ballistics. It's going to be a lot cheaper. It's a more universal round, so if you need it, so this does apply to go to war rifle. If you need 5.56, you're going to be able to find it a lot easier than 300 Blackout if there's like a shortage or something, or you're having to trade or find ammo from someone you don't know. They're much more likely to have 5.56 than they are 300 Blackout. So yeah, that might be it. I've tried to go over all the reasons that I can think of as to why you should want an AR-15 pistol, or you should not want an AR-15 pistol and go with a full-sized rifle. Anyway, I hope you guys find this video helpful, and I will see you guys later.